Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. Today's podcast is entitled Be the Light. And as usual, I'm going to start this podcast off with a quote. Happiness is the quality of the soul, not a function of one's material circumstances. And that's the quote by Aristotle. I know a lot of times going through life, we find ourselves in hard situations where it may not seem like there's no way out, like the darkness just doesn't have an end to it, and that, the situation is just never going to end. Those times that we've discussed in the podcast before about those ebbs and flows, the mountain peaks and the valleys that we go through throughout life. But whenever you find yourself in those situations, we have to be our own light. We have to be that positivity, that courage, that confidence, that commitment in a sea of things that don't serve us, that don't motivate us, that don't help us to see clearly through the fog, through the smoke, and to the other side. We have to be that light that pierces that darkness. We have to, those qualities that we have within ourselves at those moments in times, we have to let those qualities explode out in front of us and change our environment instead of letting our environment change us. Um, I had the thing that the catalyst that inspired this episode is I was having a conversation with a friend who explained to me that they are in a hostile work environment and it's affecting them in ways that aren't beneficial. This person was in the military, so military life can at times be dark, or it can be situations that you might not otherwise want to be in. But when you look back at those situations, later on in life, after you've gone through them and you're past them, you can see how that situation benefits you and allows you to further traverse or to deal with the situation that you're in now. Because at least in my experience, I'm thankful for those situations that I've been in where things have seemed impossible or when things have just seemed insurmountable. Because now that I'm going through things now, in the later years of my life, I don't feel like I can't make it through these things because I've already been through worse. I'm complaining about things that, back then in those circumstances wouldn't have amounted to anything in comparison to what I already had gone through or what I was going through at that time. So I just used it to put things in perspective. That's how I used it to help me as a motivator, that I've already been through something worse than this. So I know that I can get through the other side. And that gives me confidence, that gives me courage, that gives me perspective and a positive spin on the situation that I'm going through. It allows me to be the light in my own situation when I wouldn't otherwise be able to find motivation or something to hold on to, a solid foundation. Um, I feel it. I feel that this is something that a lot of us can identify with. Again, because we all go through ebbs and flows in life. We all experience the mountaintops and we all experience the valleys. To what extent we experience those things varies differently, but I mean, this life isn't. It's unique in the sense that we experience it, but it's not unique in the sense that we're the only ones experiencing it. Everybody experiences life in a similar fashion. We might have ebbs and flows, mountaintops and valleys, but to what extent or the duration or what circumstance, that's a differentiating factor. But largely we all experience the same thing. We're all going through something or have gone through something, and some of us are still going through it and some of us already gotten through it. But just because we've gotten through one evolution of a mountain peak in the valley doesn't mean that we're home free for life, that it's just going to be easy from now on. You can guarantee that if you're on a mountaintop, there will be a valley at some point in time, and if you're in a valley, there will be a mountaintop at some point in time, and you should use that to prepare yourself either way, for the good and for the bad. The fact that we are stuck in a situation that does not serve us, our dreams, or our goals for a host of, the fact that we get stuck in these situations that don't serve our dreams or our goals can exist for a host of different reasons. It can be a relationship, it could be a work situation, it could be a friendship, and then there's something there that connects you to that relationship or that connection for some reason, even though it doesn't serve you. And when you're in the midst of it, you can't really see outside of all the fog and everything, and all your friends are telling you information, and it seems like they don't understand or they don't know what you're going through. But at the end of the day, they may have a perspective outside of what you're going through that allows them to see things better. But again, take that information, in context, because sometimes it may not be good for you. Sometimes those people that you think are on your side may not be on your side. That might be part of the fog. So you just have to make the best decision at that point in time. And when you feel like you can't depend on others, again, be that light. Have confidence that if you make a decision to go left or go right, no matter what happens at the end of the day, it's going to be okay. You got to have that confidence. Even if it doesn't go the way you want to because you made that decision, at the end of the day, it's still going to be okay. You're still going to get through whatever is on the other side of that decision, whether it's what you intended to happen or not. What we need to do is analyze our situations logically outside of our emotions and do one of the following three things. And what are the following three things we can do? We can deal with it, we can change it, or we can leave it. Those are the choices we have every time we come to a crossroad in life. Whenever we feel like we're in the middle of a situation that we feel powerless or it doesn't serve us or is not helping us to get any closer to our dreams and goals, those are the three options that we have as far as what we can do with that situation. We can deal with it. We can try to fight through it, make it serve us, make it work for, our best interests. And if we can't do that, we can try to change it, try to flip the situation around to where, it doesn't affect us as much, or, we're able to thrive in that situation. And instead of it being a bad thing, it's something that we can deal with, like how people put up with going to work every day. You deal with that. Sometimes you don't have the ideal circumstances, but you've learned to deal with it and then change it. If the workplace doesn't serve you, change it. Quit the job, go find another job. There's plenty of jobs out there. It may not be the job you want, but there's plenty of jobs out there. And then lastly, leave it. You could just drop it altogether. If a certain career path doesn't serve you or isn't what you thought it was, then just leave it. Go explore another career path. Or if a relationship doesn't serve you or a friendship doesn't serve you, just leave it. Just put it in your rearview mirror and just be done with it completely. Change it means that you may be able to flip some things around in it, or you may walk away from it, but still be in that same kind of path. Like what I was saying with the career path. Like you can leave one job in that certain career path and go find another, and then leave it is just, leave it all together. If it doesn't serve you, just drop it. So those are the three choices that we have when it comes to making a decision and what we're going to do in reference to that decision. We can either deal with it, we can either change it, or we can leave it. Leave it all together, just drop it, put it behind us, and move forward. Whatever choice you make, sorry, I got it written all jumbled up here. Whatever choice you make, that work is yours to do, no one else's. And what I mean by that is how we've talked about, you have the pen, you control your life. Nobody else controls your life. So if you choose one of those three choices, to deal with it, to change it, or to leave it, whatever work that comes next to that follows in line with that train of thought or that choice that you made, that work is yours to do. You can't look to anybody else to make your decision comfortable or look for some type of certainty from somebody else that this was the right choice. You have to have the confidence in yourself to make the right decisions in those times. It's your life. It's your pen. It's nobody else's job to ensure your happiness. It's nobody's job to ensure your security. All of that stuff needs to be done by you. Especially like when we talk about relationships, I hear a lot of people talk about, I'm not happy in the relationship because this person's doing that. That's the wrong way to look at it. Because when you're in a relationship, you need to be happy apart from the relationship, and you need to be happy within the relationship. And what I mean by that is your happiness shouldn't be dependent upon your partner's actions. And that goes for a relationship like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, or a relationship like a friendship, or any type of work relationship. Your happiness or your emotions shouldn't be dictated by what goes on or doesn't go on in your relationship between the two of you, because it's not that other person's job to ensure that you have emotional stability. It's your job. You have the pen. It's your life to live. Don't give it to nobody else. And if you've made that decision, it's your job to do the work that's related with that choice that you made the decision to follow. Whatever decision you choose, be the light. So if you choose that whatever decision, whatever one of the three decisions, to leave it, to change it, or to deal with it, then whatever decision you make, be the light. Even if the situation may have been a dark one, a decision that you didn't want to make, like leaving a relationship after 10 years, like leaving a friendship, even though you guys are really, really close, even though it seems like there's a lot of dark and disadvantage to that decision, you made that decision because at the time, with the information that you had, you felt like that was the best decision. So if you felt like that was the best decision and you went forward and made that decision, one of our three decisions, then what you need to do is to be your light in that decision. Even if it doesn't seem at first like it was the best decision, you made that decision for a reason. So live with it, because even not choosing to not making a choice is still a choice. So if you don't choose to go left or go right, you've chosen to stand where you are and effectively to deal with what you have in front of you. So even not making a choice to go either way is still a choice. So you might as well make a decision, go left and go right, and then deal with that decision, do the work in relationship to that decision, and then whatever darkness or consequences come with that decision, be the light in that decision. Know that you made the right decision, and even if you didn't make the right decision, you did the best with the evidence or the information that you had at that point in time. So just move forward with it, be the light, have confidence in yourself, and then when you get to another fork in the road where you have to make another decision, just make a better decision this time. We can't keep living with regret in the past that we didn't make the right decision. As long as you wake up and you have breath in your lungs, you have another opportunity to make the right decision. So this time going forward, just make it a better decision. So what does it mean to be the light? I know we keep talking about being the light, and I've said that, you have to let all those principles that are within you explode, like your confidence, your motivation, your drive, your love, all of that stuff that you may have in reference to your goals or for your goals. When I say be the light, I mean that you need to let that explode. Like literally, and when you're in a dark room and you flip on a light switch and that darkness goes away, that's what you need to be in your dark situations or situations that don't serve you. On the internet, what it says to be the light is, in times of darkness, you offer hope, encouragement, kindness, and compassion. Sometimes to be the light means to carry the torch for what needs to be completed or be made new. It may mean to give of yourself in a new way to a situation or cause or relationship that you are in. Again, be the light. Like, you might be the motivation that somebody else is looking to. Like, you never know who's watching you. You never know who's watching you. Like, I'll be working out. This is just an example. I'll be working out and I'll look over and my daughters will be doing, their version of the exercise I'm doing. You never know who's watching you. You could be at work and people could be watching you getting chewed out by your boss, and then watch you go back to your cubicle or your workspace and just shake it off and get back to work and get back to your projects, and that motivates somebody. That might give them the courage to deal with whatever they're going through. Because whenever light enters a room, whatever that room, the light touches, that darkness has to disappear. So you can be the light in somebody else's darkness. You can motivate somebody else in their time of need. And then, it's a chain reaction. They can motivate somebody else and it could just be continuous. So when you're being the light for yourself, you may be being the light for somebody else. You never know, because somebody's always watching you. And somebody is being motivated by your story. They're reading your book or they're along with you in a chapter. And that motivates them. That gives them drive to get through whatever situation they're going through, or even the motivation to make the right decision. Like if somebody's going through a hard relationship and they see that you've had the power to get out of a hard relationship, and then they followed you or have been with you in life, like a coworker or I don't know, a teammate or something, and they've seen that after, so many months or whatever, you bounce back and you're good to go. That might give them the confidence or the ability to make that tough decision as well, knowing that in the future that they're going to be okay, all because of the example that you set by your actions. Instead of looking for validation, security, and support outside yourself, be the source. You don't need anybody else to validate you, to make sure that your choice was secure, to support you through your decision. Even all of that stuff is nice to have. They're wants. It is awesome to have somebody that will support you through your decisions, that will help to provide security from any type of danger that you might incur because of that decision, or somebody that might give you validation that, hey, a pat on the back, that was the right decision. That was a tough decision to make, but you made a right decision. But it's not a necessity. We don't need those things. Those are wants. And there's a big difference between wants and needs. And in society, we kind of lose that difference, that separation between the two. But there's a large separation between wants and needs. And, we want all those things. Somebody to provide security, validation, and support when we make a decision. But, sometimes we're not going to have that. All you're going to have is yourself. And you need to have the validation within yourself that the decision that you made was right. You need to be your own security, have the mindset to know that you're going to be able to get through whatever you're going through. And you need to support yourself as you go through things by speaking positively to yourself, reading positive books, surrounding yourself with positive people. All the stuff that we've talked about in, episodes before in this podcast, it all ties into one another. Everything relates to everything. It's just one giant puzzle that we're putting together, trying to build ourselves and shape our environments. And a large part of what we're talking about today is mixed in the podcast episodes before this one. Especially it all starts in the brain, because a lot of this is going to be in your mind. Like even when you don't feel like getting out of bed, you're going to have to get out of bed, because mentally that's the first thing that's going to start you down the right track. It all starts in the brain, and it's all just a big puzzle, trying to put pieces together to make it make sense. And as long as it makes sense to you, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. You got to do what you got to do where you're at. Be the positivity in an otherwise bad situation. Put a positive perspective on what's occurring. Default positive. Why not? Because what does being negative do? It doesn't serve you in any way, shape, or fashion. It only hinders your efforts, your mentality, your performance. Nobody wants to be around somebody who's constantly negative. Your perspective in large part drives your reality. So if you see things positively around you, then positive will be your default. But if you see things always bad, always negative, or you're always complaining, then negativity will be your default. So you have the power of choice. You can choose left or you can choose right. Left may be positivity, right may be negativity. It's up to you. We have more control of our lives than the media and others would lead us to believe. Some people just live in fear or a lack of confidence. And once we establish those, once we turn into ourselves instead of focusing on external factors, then that's when we're going to get our power back. That's when we're going to make that light brighter and brighter and brighter. And sometimes we forget who we are, and it helps to go back and revisit, that cookie jar that I was talking about that David Goggins says he set aside. Anytime he's going through a situation that is hard or that, is difficult mentally, he goes back in that cooking jar and he'll be like, oh, I already did this. I already made it through to the other side. I'm going to be all right. I did SEAL training. I did this. I did that. And, you may not have done SEAL training, but there's definitely something that you can, go back on or remember that you've been through that was harder than what you're going through or similar. And you can compare it to that and be like, hey, I survived 100% of my bad days or the worst days of my life so far, that you have thought were the worst day of your life. So you survived that so far. So you're going to get through this. It's just another phase. Life has ebbs and flows. It's just another phase. It's just another valley. And there's going to be a mountaintop on the other side of that. You just got to work to get out of it. And the work is yours to do. Prepare your mind for the fact that you are about to go through, for what you're about to go through may be very difficult, but you're going to do it anyways. And if it's easier than expected, then that's a win that goes with it. You know, if you prepare your mind that, hey, this is going to be tough, and regardless of how tough, I'm already going to do it. I've already set my mind that I'm going to do it. If it turns out to be easier than what you thought, then that's a win. You know, take the W and just be happy with it. But if it doesn't, then you've already put yourself in a mindset that no matter what comes up, you're already gonna push forward. So whenever an obstacle comes up or something that seems unconquerable, it doesn't have that big of effect on you because you see it and you're like, oh man, that sucks. But you already made up in your mind that you're gonna push through. So you don't have to fight through negativity to get motivation to push through, because at the onset of your journey, you've already said that I want this bad enough that no matter what pops up in front of me, I'm going to push through and I'm going to make it. This is your life story, your journey. Don't let anyone else take control. And this goes for like an individual, this goes for an organization, you know, your job, your workplace, whatever it may be. Don't let anybody else have the power to your life or of your life. Be your own superhero. Be your own Superman, be your own Flash, be your own Batman. Nobody's coming to save you. And if somebody does, you know, that's awesome. It's awesome to have somebody in your corner that can motivate you, that can help you, that can push you through, that can help you get out the mud. You know, that's awesome. But in life, you know, sometimes we just don't have that. And unfortunately, it may not even be where we need it to be in reference to the people in our lives. Like sometimes family members aren't going to be there for us. Sometimes our spouses aren't going to be there for us. And we have to be the strength no matter what situation we're in. If it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, you're at work, wherever you may be, in what environment, you need to be the constant, you know, because no matter what situation you go through, the constant in every one of those situations is going to be you. Regardless, whatever situation you go through, you're going to be present in that situation. So if you're always going to be the constant, the one thing that you're always going to be able to control or influence is yourself. So if that's the case, then no matter what happens around you or what happens in your external environment, you should be able to affect your environment instead of your environment affect you, because your motivation remains constant within you. Your drive remains constant. Your goals remains constant. Your love, your passion remains constant. Your mentality remains constant. So in every situation, you bring with you what you need, the tools you need to fight that battle. And that's why it's so important for us to work on ourselves daily, to read books, to meditate, to surround ourselves with positive people. Always be seeking out chances and opportunity to test ourselves and to push ourselves, you know, that stuff and much more. You know, it's all about the journey in life, not a destination. So if you ever think you're going to get perfect or be perfect, you know, that's not going to happen. You're just not going to reach perfection, because life is a journey, not a destination. So while you're going through that journey and you know for a fact that you're going to experience ebbs and flows in life, why not be the light in the darkness? You know, why not be the light in the valley? You know, because there might not be another light source down there for you. There might not be somebody to help you. So if you're going to be the constant in every situation that you experience, why not constantly choose positivity?